Yep. So today we have to discuss the encryptions. Okay. So let's discuss that. Sequence generator, you are clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now encryptions, encryption, decryption. So encryption and decryption means so basically when Workday will generate file, let's say you have created one integration for one of the downstream system, and you have included SSN details. Okay, you have included SSN details, or you have included the personal details, phone number, email address, all those details. Okay, so basically that file is containing the sensitive information. So that file is containing the sensitive information. So what happens basically when you deliver, let's say Workday, in Workday, the file has been generated. Okay, so in Workday, the file has been generated. For example, let's say employee.csv. Okay, then you are delivering this via some SFTP server, SFTP server, and then SFTP server is going to transmit that file to the Conquer system. Let us just assume we are sending data to Conquer. Okay. So in this case, here this employee.csv will be generated in Workday. In Workday, the data is secure, the file is secure, everything is secure. But when this employee.csv is getting transferred to SFTP server, okay, there is transmission happening. Okay. And in this transmission, we don't know if someone is hacking the system or not. Okay. It could be the other person can hack the system as well. Okay, the hack the transmission as well. Okay, so if we simply send employee.csv file in which the data is actually the same, for example, for employee A, the SSN number is something like this. Okay, the phone number is something like this, and then personal email and all. So let's say if there is any such data, let's say if there is any such data, and if the file is getting hacked in between the transmission, then this data will be visible and this sensitive information is leaked, right? This SSN is the most sensitive information in US. So I think you guys are good to understand the sensitivity of that. So basically, what we generally do is before transmitting the file to this SFTP server, we generally encrypt the file. Okay, so we generally encrypt the file. So this data becomes like this one. Random. Okay, so let's say random. Okay, so now this is encoded in this way via some algorithm. Okay, via some algorithm, via some keys. Okay, so this is what we call encryption. Okay, so this data is getting converted into some another format where nobody can easily read, nobody can decrypt that. Okay, so that is what we call encryption. Okay, so here the keys will be involved. So in Workday, for encrypting files, we have one mechanism, PGP encryption. Okay, so the full form of PGP is pretty good privacy. So how this works is basically there are two things happening. One is encryption and other is decryption. Okay, so encryption means this data is getting converted into this one. And then again, then this data is relayed. Once this data is relayed, then this is for the source system. In target system, this data will be decrypted and converted back into this format. Okay, so basically two parts here, encryption and decryption. Okay, so are you able to understand what does encryption means?
Yes.
Okay, so encryption means it's encoding of the data which Workday is generating in some random format so that nobody can decrypt that. Okay, now there are encryption and decryption. Here we do using PGP key pairs. Okay, so we have two kind of integration. One is inbound, other is outbound. Let us discuss outbound first, then I'll show you inbound. Inbound. So in outbound integration, what happens? Workday is generating files. Okay, so Workday is the system which is generating files. So this file needs to be encrypted. Okay, now before I go with outbound inbound, let me uh, let me just mention the keys here. So in encryption and decryption, there are two kind of keys. Okay, the one is public key, the another is private key. Okay, so public key will be used. Public key can be shared and will be used to encrypt the files. Okay, the private key cannot be shared and will be used to decrypt the files along with public key. Okay, so there are two keys. When we talk about the PCP encryption, there are two kind of keys. One is public key, the another is private key. So public key, when you generate a key pair, then two keys will be generated. Whenever you generate for encryption, for PCP encryption, whenever you generate the key pair, then public key and private key, both the keys will be generated. Okay, so public key and private key, both the keys will be generated, in which public key can be shared with the system, with the other system, and this will be used to encrypt the files. Private key is something we should not be sharing private key with any other system, and this private key will be used along with public key to decrypt the files. Okay, so here for example, just any one of you can just answer this. Let's say we have two systems, Workday and another is Conquer. Which system should encrypt the file here? Okay, Workday is sending files to
Workday.
Conquer. So Workday should encrypt the files here. Okay, and to encrypt a file, which key is required?
Public key.
Public key. So yes, so basically here in Workday the files will be generated. In Workday the encryption will happen, and we will need a public key. So basically in this case, in case of outbound integration, the target system will generate public private key pair. Once key is generated, target system will share public key with source system. So understand the concept here, okay? So basically, when we talk about Workday to Conquer, okay? So in Workday to Conquer, this is basically outbound integration. So for outbound integration, Workday needs to encrypt the file and Conquer is going to decrypt the file, okay? For encryption, we need public key. For decryption, we need private key, okay? And also the private key cannot be shared, okay? So in this particular case, in case of outbound integration, what will happen? Whichever system you are delivering files, that system is going to generate public private key pair, okay? Once that key is generated, that system is going to share public key with Workday, okay? And that system will not share any private key, okay? Because private key is used to decrypt the files, okay? Public key used to encrypt the files. Here in this case, Workday is generating files, so Workday files needs to be encrypted. So Conquer system is going to generate this public private key pair. Conquer will share public key with Workday, okay, and then Conquer will use private key to decrypt the file. Okay, so if you want to see how the keys look like, okay, we'll show you in a minute how the keys are look like.
Can you
Yeah.
repeat it
Here,
again, Ganesh?
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
you're
yes, yes.
telling it's a target system will generate, right? So, but here
Mhm.
the workday is okay. Could you please repeat one
Yes,
more
yes,
time?
yes, 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 yes. So this is, I mean, we need to clarify this. Okay, so there are two systems. Source is Workday, okay, and target is Conquer. Okay, for example, okay. So Workday is generating file. Let's say employee.csv. Okay, this file needs to be encrypted using public key. Okay, so from where this public key will come? Okay, from where this public key will come? So this key will come from Conquer. Okay, then the target system is Conquer. Here, see, once Conquer share the public key, we will configure that public key in Workday. So using this public key, Workday is going to encrypt the file. Okay, this employee.csv will be encrypted using this public key shared by Conquer. Okay, then the encrypted file will be delivered to SFTP or whatever server where the file is expecting. So basically, once this file is encrypted using the public key shared by Conquer, the file will be delivered. Okay, so in target system, basically in Conquer, Conquer will receive encrypted employee.csv file. Encrypted employee.csv file. Okay, now to decrypt this file, Conquer is already having private key. How Conquer is going to decrypt the file? Using the private key. See, basically the concept is whichever system will generate, okay, that system will be having private key stored in that system. Okay, public key, private key cannot be shared. So for example, let me show you in Workday. Okay, so here there is one task, create PCP private key pair. Okay, so when you see public key, that means it is just a public key. When you see private key pair, this means public private key. Okay, so let us create one private key pair. I'm creating one private key pair. So I'm just mentioning PGP underscore test one. Okay, I'm not giving anything, and validation date I'm just mentioning 2027. That's fine. Click OK. So once you click OK, then you will see here, you will see it is showing you the public key. It won't show you private key. Private key Workday has internally stored. Okay, because that will be used for decryption. We do not need to share any private keys with any other system. Okay, so here, this is how public key looks like. Okay, this is how public key looks like. So Conquer is going to send you, keys something like this. Okay, so you need to understand the public private key pair first. Okay.
So, yeah, one question, Ganesh. So, we
Yep,
are,
yep.
I mean, in Workday, we are generating this. That means we don't need for the outbound, right? I mean, inbound.
Yes, correct. So that I will come after some time. So basically in Workday, when I generated private key pair, that means see here now let us discuss inbound first, then we will avoid confusion. So now in inbound, let's say Conquer is sending file to Workday. Okay. So in this case, encryption, where exactly encryption should happen?
Workday.
Why Workday?
Conquer.
No, sorry, Conquer.
Yeah. So encryption would be required in Conquer. So who would require public key?
Workday. Oh, sorry, Conquer.
Conquer only.
Yes.
Conquer, yeah.
So Conquer will require the public key. Okay. So here, if Conquer requires public key for encrypting the file, which system is going to generate public private key?
Workday.
Workday.
Yes. So Workday will generate public private key. Public private key, and Workday will be having both the keys, public and private keys. Which key Workday is going to share with Conquer?
Public key only.
Okay. Yes, public key. So here, when I created this public private key, so in this case, basically this public key we are going to share with Conquer. Okay. So Conquer will configure this key in their system, and when the file will be generated in Conquer, they will be encrypting that file using this key. Okay. And this private key for this is a private key pair. Okay. So the private key is internally stored in Workday. So we don't need to see that private key. Actually, we can't see that private key. Okay. Whenever you configure this PGP test in your inbound integration, automatically it will decrypt the file. Okay. I'll show you how to do that as well.
But Ganesh, one question.
Yes.
So, in like outbound Workday, because do we have a access on Conquer too for generating that
No.
key?
Why would you generate? See, basically, in Workday, when you will work in integration, there will be multiple systems. So you will be responsible only for Workday. Okay.
Right.
And let's say in your company there are two systems, Workday and Concur. You are responsible only for Workday. For Concur, there will be another person who is managing Concur. Okay. So let's say, sorry.
No, I'm telling, so that person will provide that public key to us for
Yes.
getting that. Okay.
So we are going to ask him to generate one public private key and share private key with us.
Okay, got it now.
Yes. So for inbound and outbound, are you guys clear? I mean, what is public key? What is private key? Are you clear?
Yes.
Public key will be used to encrypt the files. Okay. So whichever target system Workday will be sending the files, that system is going to generate public private key, and that system is going to share public key with Workday. Workday will be using that public key to encrypt file, and then Workday will relay files to the target system. Okay.
And it's always the target's responsibility to create public and private key, right?
Yes. So see, the funda is you cannot share the private key. Okay. So you cannot share the private key. So if let's say in outbound integration, Workday is generating public private key. Okay. So in that case, Workday will be having public key. So Workday can encrypt. How can the other system decrypt the file? They don't have private key, and we cannot share the private key. So basically the thing is, whenever in any integration, okay, in any integration, just consider the target system is going to generate public private key. That public key will be shared with the source system. Private key will not be shared by any system. Okay. Once public key, once the source file uses that public key to encrypt the file, it generates encrypted file. That encrypted file will be sent to target system. Target system will be using the private key to decrypt that file. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other question you have in this PGP encryption? I mean, are you able to understand the encryption, the difference between inbound and outbound? There is a slight difference. I mean, only in
It's
case of
depend on the
outbound.
target.
Yeah, in case, yes. So simply you understand the source and target. Target is going to generate public private key, and source is going to use the public key generated by private key to encrypt the
Okay.
file.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And how key looks like, that is something I have shown you. Now
Yeah.
let's say this is a private key pair I have generated. So there are two tasks you have seen, right? So one task is to generate public private key pair. We will use when there is inbound to Workday. When there is any integration which is inbound to Workday, means data will be uploaded into Workday. Okay, and we are going to use this PGP public key when we have outbound integration and we need to configure keys from other system. Okay, so for that one we will be using PGP public key. Okay, so let's say just using this key only for example, just for example. Okay, so I'm using I'm creating one uh, public key. Create PGP test public key 1. I just pasted a certificate. Automatically this yeah, automatically it took the valid from validity, it automatically detect. Okay, here I'm just, let me just put underscore. So I have created with this public key. So basically here, when you will be configuring, this key will be shared by the target system. So you just need to configure that. Once you paste that key, always remember the formatting. You need to start from this begin, and the key should end with this end block. Okay. So when you will paste that key shared by any target system, automatically valid from and valid to date will be updated. You won't be able to change this validity for any key. Okay, so that those details are stored in in this certificate. Basically we won't be able to see those certificate details. Okay, but automatically this will be generated. Now I have created one PCP test public key. Now let's say, let me open any outbound integration, for example EIB. Yeah, so this is one outbound integration. So if we need to encrypt this outbound EIB integration, I mean the configuration is same in core connector and uh, EIB. So in EIB, we have a direct delivery method. In core connector, we used to configure business process, then we configure delivery. So when you will click on this details, okay. So right now this is Workday attachment. Let me change this Workday attachment to SFTP. So once I change this, here you will see there is one option encrypt using. Okay, there is one option encrypt using. So whatever, this is an outbound integration. So public key is required for encryption. For encryption, always public key will be required. So I have just pasted that public key name. See here, this public key. When I click on OK, oh sorry, these are the SFTP details I need to fill in. But anyways, this is how we used to configure the encryption. Okay, encrypt using this PGP test public key. Okay, and when you will be configuring for decryption, when you will be configuring for inbound integration, there you will see instead of encrypt using, you will see the option decrypt using. Okay, and there you
Uh,
need to, yep.
Ganesh, one question. So
Hmm.
for every time if we want to generate a public key, we have to create a public-private key pair, right? Before that, because
Every
you
time as in,
copied from there, right?
No.
no. I mean that is just an example. Okay, so I don't have any public key from any other system, right? So that is why I
Hmm.
just created in Workday and I use that key for public key. Basically, this public
Oh,
key will be
okay.
shared by another system. You don't need to create this.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay. See, the only thing, let's say in case of Workday to Concur, okay, so Concur will be sharing this kind of key to you. Okay, so when Conquer will share this kind of key, you will simply go here, you will simply create, just type create PGP, use the task create PGP public key, you just configure the key shared by Conquer, and that's all. You can use that name for configuring in integration. Okay.
Okay.
So I mean here I just created because I don't have any keys from any other system, right? So to show you guys, I just created this PGP public key using the private key pair only. Okay.
You just copy paste from the private to here.
Yes. But in general, what will happen here in case of target system, always target system you will, so the steps would be, let me just mention the steps as well. Steps for outbound target system will share public key. Okay. If not shared, ask them to share public key. Okay, from project point of view, I'm just explaining. When when public key is saved, install public key certificate in Workday using task create PGP public key. Use public key name in delivery config to encrypt the files. Okay. And for inbound, the first step is create private key pair using create PGP private key pair. Okay. Copy public key and share public key with the source system. Okay. Not copy, is copy. Configure private key pair name in retrieval config decrypt using. Okay. Here we will do create use public in delivery config encrypt using. Okay. Is this clear, Lakshmi, Shalini?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you will remember this. Should I paste this in the chat? Anyways,
No,
you
no,
will be
I'm
having
writing down.
recordings.
No need to paste it on the chat.
Yeah, we are noting it down. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But this is clear, right? This
Yeah.
encryption and decryption, how this happens, what is public key, what is private key, in what case, who should generate public private key, who is going to share public key, who is going to encrypt the file, who is going to decrypt the file. All these things you are clear, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is about the encryption. This is how Workday follows encryption. Generally, it is recommended to not share any file, to not deliver any files without encryption from Workday. Okay, because when you are when the file is getting transmission, it could be other network traffics can jam that, and they can hire those. They can hack those files as well. Okay, so if the file is getting hacked, your data will be leaked. Okay, it's a kind of data breach. So generally, Workday recommends whenever you are delivering files to any other system, ask them to share public key, encrypt file using that public key, then only you share the data. Okay, and even the same case in decryption. Ask, you generate the public private key. Okay, just share public key with the target source system. Ask them to encrypt file using the public key shared by you, and then you just configure that private key in the retrieval method, and then you just use that private key, public private key to decrypt the file. So always, see, in Workday, whenever you are generating something, you don't need to encrypt or decrypt. Okay, it could be like there are some sensitive information which you don't want to show to everyone. Okay, so that is something you can mask in Workday. Okay, but whenever you are generating some files and you are delivering that files to any other system, in those cases, yeah, so in those cases, you should be encrypting the file always. Okay, now let us create an outbound integration. So this encryption and decryption is clear. The next topic is outbound EIB. So this is one integration system. Okay, integration system, integration tools. So we are going to create one outbound EIB now. So as we have created a web service enabled custom report, I have created many web service enabled custom report. Even you guys have created your own web service enabled custom report. We are going to use those custom report in outbound EIBs. Okay, so let me see what are the reports I have created. Okay, there are so many. No worries. So to create an outbound integration, to create an outbound EIB, first of all, you understand what is EIB. Okay, so EIB is an integration tool which will generate data. Okay, which will generate data or which will load data in Workday system. Okay, so this EIB has features to extract data from Workday and load data into Workday. Okay, so there are two kind of EIBs. One is outbound EIB, other is inbound EIB. Outbound EIB will be used to extract data from Workday, and it will, if the delivery is configured, it will relay the data to the target system. In inbound EIBs, basically inbound EIBs will be used to create, update data, delete data in the Workday system. Okay, so here we will be discussing the outbound EIBs. So EIBs we have already discussed before. Let us see how we can create one outbound EIB. Okay, so to create outbound EIB or inbound EIB, we have one task, create EIB. So in search bar, just go and create EIB. Click on create EIB. So here you just give the name of the EIB. So I'm just saying, for example, INT001 Ganesh first EIB outbound integration. So here, if you see, we have two options. One is inbound, other is outbound. Just select outbound, click OK. So your outbound in EIB has been generated. Okay. Now here, this is the EIB name. Okay, this is the EIB name which I have given, and this is the ID, reference ID generated for this integration. Okay, here in the comment section, you need to enter a short description of this integration. What exactly you are trying to fetching in this integration, and for which vendor you are creating this integration. So you can update your comment. That's an optional field, but ideally it is recommended to update a brief description about the integration here. Okay, once you update these things, click on next. So when you will click on next, it will ask for the data source type. Okay, so here now everything which we will be discussing from here, you need to remember. Okay, because all these things will contains some interview questions. Okay, so here in this case, if you see in get data, there are a couple of options. Okay, the options are data source type. Okay, so there are only just two data source type we have in EIB. One is custom report, another is web service. One is custom report, another is web service. Okay, so basically we have created a report as web service enabled. Okay, we will be using custom report. You can use web service as well. Okay, but to use web service, you need to understand that web service. Okay, so we will be creating EIBs based on custom report. Okay, so here in the data source type, I selected the custom report. Now here in the custom report, I will select the report on which I want to create the EIB. So I'm just searching for Ganesh. See, always remember when you are creating custom reports, okay, and you are on top of that custom report, you want to create EIB. But when you search here, okay, you are not able to find that custom report. So in those cases, always check whether that report is a web service enabled or not. If that report is not web service enabled, you won't be able to see that report here in the in the get data part. Okay, if you want that report to be used in this EIB, then you need to enable that report as a web service always. Okay, so if you're not able to find your report here, just check whether that report is web service enabled or not. Okay, so let me just use this one, Ganesh first report. Okay, so when I see there are two options here, custom report and web service. When I selected custom report, then this option is enabled. When I will select web service, then this option will be enabled. See, this option is enabled now. Okay, so I'm gonna use custom report. Okay, when you will click on details, you will find another option. So basically by default, this integration is going to generate XML data. Okay, XML format. Now let's say if you want data in some other format, you can use this option as well. So you are having option of CSV, GData, JSON, RSS, simple XML. Okay, so whatever format you want, you can use from this drop down. Okay, then another is run as system user. So run as system user. So basically when you will create an ISU to run, so ISU we are going to discuss later. So ISU is kind of virtual account which will be responsible for running the integration in the tenant. Okay, so when we will create ISU, we will assign that ISU, that is a virtual account, we will assign that ISU to run this EIB. So that is something I'm just leaving for now. That's not recommended. You can assign that ISU in a different way. Okay, so basically the get data is configured. Okay, I have used custom report. I have given the custom report name. Then click on next. Get data is configured. Then click on next. The next step is transformation. Okay, the next step is transformation. In transformation, you will be having multiple types of transformation. So here if you see, there is custom report transformation, then custom transformation, then new custom report transformation. Okay, so this custom report transformation and new custom report transformation is basically, this is a new IB. So for this new EIB, you are going to create a new custom report transformation. There could be some custom report transformation already present in the system. If you want to use that, you can go with the custom report transformation. But ideally, the recommendation is the first time whenever you are creating any EIB integration, just use new custom report transformation. Okay, so this custom report transformation is actually to transform the data. So basically, the data will be generated in XML format. If you want that data to be generated in some other format, I'll show you how that data and how the transformation look like, how the data will be different. Okay, so in case of transformation, you can use this new custom report transformation. This custom report transformation mechanism is a configurable one. You don't need to write any type of code to transform the XML file. Okay, but there is one more option we have, custom transformation. Okay, this custom transformation is actually where you need to write XSLT code to transform XML data into some other format. Okay, so this is the difference. This custom transformation will be used only when you want to write XSLT, you want to transform the data using XSLT, then you will be using custom transformation. If you don't want to use XSLT, you just want to configure the report transformation, you just use for the custom report transformation. At this point of time, I'm not using any transformation. We will see transformation as a next step. Okay, so I'm just leaving this transformation, then I'll show you how to configure custom report transformation after just 5 minutes. Okay, and then just click on next. Once your transformation is configured, click on next, and here you can configure the delivery details. Okay, so here the next step is delivery. So in this deliver option, you will be able to configure the delivery details. So as of now, it is Workday attachment. So Workday attachment means this integration is going to generate file and will attach the file in the integration event itself. Okay, the file will not be delivered to any other system. Okay, so you can just give the file name. So here I'm just giving, for example, taste.xml. Document retention policy. So document retention policy is whenever you run the integration and whenever that integration generate file, you need to define one period. Okay, you need to define one specified period till which you want that document to be available in the integration system. Okay, so let's say if you are configuring one day, then the file generated this whenever this integration will generate this test.xml. Okay, that will be retained for just one day. Okay, if you try to access that document on the next day or the day after next day, then you will be able to see the document name, but you won't be able to download. It will be freeze. Okay, basically document will be wiped out. Okay, so this is what is document retention policy. If let's say if you in your company, let's say if you want to retain documents generated by integration for the next 90 days, then here you need to configure as 90. You need to configure as 90. Okay, so these 90 days, this test.xml will be retained in integration event for the next 90 days. Okay, so this is what this document retention policy means. Okay, then here if you want to generate file with a specific sequence generator, you can configure that sequence generator here. Okay, and then there are encryption mechanism. Okay, so this is how we create EIB. In this EIB, the another option we have is encrypt using. Okay, so whenever the person whenever the target system will be sharing any public key, you will configure that public key in Workday system using create PGP public key, and you will use that PGP public key name to configure here. So I have used one public key, right? So I created just one public key with my name. So let me Oh, sorry, not my name. I think I created PGP test public key one. So yeah, so this is the key. Then here the last option you have is restricted. So whenever you use encrypt using, there will be couple of options you will get. Okay, ASCII armored, contain integrity check. Okay, if there is any decrypted file name you have to give, you can give. If PGP 26 compatible, you need to select, you can select. But all these things will be instructed by your target system. Okay, let's say if they ask you to just check this ASCII armored. Okay, you are going to select this ASCII armored. These are the formatting things. Okay, these are the different format. So basically in encryption decryption, many algorithms are used. Okay, so using what algorithm the key has been generated, based on that this will be decided. So that is something they will let you know whether you need to do this ASCII armored, contain integrity check, and all those. The main thing is you need to configure this encrypt using. Okay, and then the last part here is the restricted to. So whenever you configure any delivery, there will be one option restricted to. So always try to configure here the tenant. Okay, so for example, right now we are working in implementation tenant. I want to test for implementation, so I'm just using this implementation. Okay, if I need to configure another delivery details for sandbox, I can simply add here. Okay, then here in the details, I'll just mention this as a sandbox. Okay, and I'll configure the delivery details. So for example, here I'm using sandbox. For sandbox, if I want to use the SFTP delivery method, I can use. So I can have multiple delivery methods configured for one integration for multiple tenants. Okay, in one integration, we can configure multiple delivery methods for multiple tenants. Okay, so I'm just removing, as we are working in just implementation tenant, I'm just removing this. Now click on next. Just do a high level review and then you can click on OK. So this EIB is created. Okay, so this EIB is created. Here, if you see the in configuration, there are three parts. So basically in EIB, whenever we will talk about EIB, there are three main sections. Okay, the one is get data, another is transform, and the last is deliver. Get data, transform, deliver. Get data, transform, deliver. This is the funda we are going to use in the EIBs. Till here,
Always will deliver, one question, Ganesh, always
yeah.
will deliver the XML files only or any other format files also?
Sorry, come again.
We will only deliver the XML files or any other formats?
No. So we are going to deliver other formats as well. That's why we have this transformation. Okay.
Oh,
If we deliver always XML file, then this step is not at all required. Okay. So basically, to transform that XML data, this step is right now I have not configured, but I'm going to configure in the next integration run. So let me show you.
okay.
So basically, this is get data, transform, deliver. Okay, so just remember this. These are the three major main components of EIBs. Okay, now I have created one EIB. Let me run this EIB. To run this EIB, you go to the related action, then in integration, launch. Run now. File name, let's say use system defaults. Okay, so now when you will launch the integration, whatever launch parameter, let's say in report, whenever let's say you created one report, advanced report, and you are using that report in a EIB. Okay, and that report is having 4 prompts. Okay, you have configured 4 prompts. Okay, so whatever prompts you have configured in that report, that will be available in the launch parameter when you will be running the EIB as well. Okay, so that will be default. So here in my report, there is no launch parameter configured. That is why it is not asking. If I have, if I would have used another report where launch parameter, where the prompt parameters are configured in the report, you would have seen those parameters here when I'm running the integration. So for this report, there is no parameter. There is no prompt parameter. That is why you are not able to see. Now here, if you see, there are two options. When before running, it is asking for two options. So two option as in it is asking for the file name. So it is saying use system default by default. So whatever file name you have configured in the integration, if you select this use system default, it is going to take that file name, whatever you have configured in the delivery. Okay, if you want to enter the file name manually, you can just select the specify value. Okay, if you want to get the file name from some other calculated field or some other field, then you can use determine value at runtime. Okay, so there are three options here. You will always see three options here. One is use system default. Use system default means whatever you have configured in the EIB, integration is going to consider only that file name. Okay, then if you choose a specify value, then it will enable one text block. Here you can write any file name, whatever you want. It will not ask you to select anything. If you want to mention like ganesh.xml, ganesh.xml, you will be able to use this. Okay, so you don't need to select any file names. It's just like whatever you will type, the file name will be generated like that only. And if you select determine value at runtime, then here in this field, basically you need to select one field which is available. So generally, when we configure the sequence generator, we used to provide file name as, you just select next. We used to provide file name as determine value at runtime, next sequence for integration file utility. Okay, whenever you configure sequence generator in EIB to generate file name using that sequence generator, you need to configure launch parameters in this way whenever you are running the integration. Okay, so here in this EIB we have not configured any sequence generator, so I'm gonna use use system default. Okay, but these options you can try. See, you have created your own custom report. Those custom reports are web service enabled. Those custom reports are advanced report. So if you have that web service enable advanced custom report, you can create EIB on top of that. Okay, so just create one EIB. Your today's activity will be create one EIB for whatever reports you have created, run the integration and explore all these options. You will be able to see multiple options, explore all these options. Okay, so now I'm going to use system default. In document retention policy also I'm going to use system default. I'm clicking on OK, then integration will be executed. So once integration is executed, okay, you will see this kind of screen. Okay, so this is your integration event screen where you will be able to see all the details of the integration. Okay, so here in this case, see, this is the integration is currently in processing state. The current processing time is 0 and all. When you will click on refresh, this will be updated. Okay, so see, this integration has been completed in 7 seconds. Okay, once the integration is completed, yeah, once the integration is completed, you will see one file has been generated in output files. Okay, so when you click on this output file, here you can see text.xml. This file has been generated. Let me download and show you how it looks like. We have already discussed about the integration events in the past. Okay, so this is how integration event looks like. Here you have the process info, process history, output files, messages, child process, and other details. In the integration details, you will be able to see the launch parameters, whatever you have passed. In this case, there is no launch parameters, so it's not showing. But when you will be having launch parameters, you will be able to see those launch parameters as well in integration event. Okay, now the file has been generated. I have downloaded the file. So let's open that file here.
Wow.
Okay, so this is the file. This is the XML file that has been generated using EIB. Any question till here?
Good, Ganesh.
So will you be able to create EIB for your custom reports?
Yes.
Yes. So here is one Workday ID. So is this the encrypted ID? Workday ID. There is one more. So when we created that custom, we haven't put that.
Sorry.
So why it's showing this one?
Where? Workday ID?
It's like Workday ID, like
this one.
Descriptions, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, there are two kind of XML. Okay, one is simple XML, other is Workday XML. In simple XML, you will simply, this is the tag. This is, see, anyways, we are going to talk about the XML tomorrow, and tomorrow I'm going to discuss this again. Okay. So basically, these are tags. So in Workday XML, this for any, for some of the values, this is going to generate the different. Let's say if there is any calculated field or there is any field which is having some reference IDs as well. Okay. So those reference IDs will, will come in the Workday XML. If you use simple XML, then you will simply see the data. So for example, for this worker, if I am trying to access only employee ID, then I'll simply see this employee ID, this tag. So this is something we will discuss tomorrow. Don't worry about that. Okay. So, I mean, you are able to understand this, how I have generated this XML from EIB integration, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So Ganesh, this is outbound EIB, right?
Yes.
So now this XML is ready. So like if we want to send a document to like Concur, so that's a different process to sending them.
Yeah. So basically, see, now the file has been generated. Now, if you want to deliver this file to Concur, okay, in that case, basically the delivery, see, right now, if you see, if you open this integration, see the delivery method is Workday attachment. Okay, we have not configured delivery. Okay, so if you want to
Right.
deliver this file to the Concur system, then the delivery method you have to choose as SFTP or whatever delivery method your
Okay.
company will follow, and there you will
Okay.
configure. So when this integration will generate the file, automatically this integration will trigger the delivery as well.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
so you don't need to do this manually, Shalini. Okay, so
Okay.
it's
Okay.
a auto, it's a kind of business process steps kind of. So the integration
Okay.
will generate file and automatically trigger the delivery as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so your job will be is to run the integration. That's all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, one more thing, I'll just discuss today. Okay, then we will just, wrap up for today. So as of now, I have not configured any transformation method. And here, as I have not configured any transformation, you can see the data in XML format. Okay, so this is how the XML format looks like. Now, let's say you are sending this detail to Concur, and Concur is saying like, I'm not able to read the data, whatever you have sent. I do not read XML data. I need data in TXT format. Okay. Then you need to configure the transformation. So to configure the transformation in EIB, first of all, what you need to do is you need to go in the enterprise interface and edit the enterprise interface. So when you will edit the enterprise interface, then you will go in the configuration page for the EIB. Okay, so here only you configured all the things, right? So in get data is fine. Basically, we need transformation. So what I'll do is here, in transformation, I'm gonna use new custom report transformation. Okay, new custom report transformation. So just you select the new custom report transformation, click next, then click next. Sorry. Here in the delivery, as I am using transformation, I don't want the data in XML format. I want data in TXT format. So I'm just mentioning .txt. I mean, automatically the data will be generated in TXT format. So I have just changed the the format. You can try using the same name and configure the transformation. Okay. Now I'm submitting this. Now, when I am using this new custom report transformation, you need to configure that report transformation. So how to configure that? Again, you go to enterprise interface. See, earlier you had just one option, edit. Okay, now if you see, you have two options. Okay, one is edit, another is configure transformation. So this configure transformation came because we have configured configured the transform method, that is custom report transformation. Just click on this custom transformation. Yeah. So whatever delimiter you want to use, you can configure that. I don't want comma. I want fix pipe. So I have just configured pipe as a delimiter. You can use you can use mode. Use delimited or fixed width. So fixed width means, let's say, see, delimited and fixed width. The difference is delimited. So here it will come like first name delimited, last name delimited, higher date delimited, and so on. Okay, this is delimited file. The fixed width is, let's say you have defined the first name should be 8 characters. Okay, the first name should be 8 characters, but the first name is ending in 2 characters only. So the file will be, let's say this one, it will be like fn, then it will just leave 6 spaces because we have consumed just 2 spaces, and then it will again go with the last name, the next field. Okay, so you can try both the options, fixed with and delimited. In delimited, it will be just separated by one delimiter, whichever you will define. In fixed with, basically you are going to define the length of the field. If the length of the field is not appropriate, it will just create some blank spaces. Okay, if the length is greater than that, then it's going to just truncate that. So basically you can taste that how that will be that works fixed with. I'm going to explain the delimiter. So in delimiter, I'm using pipe as a delimiter. then these are the three ending options. Okay, so where exactly you want cursor to end. Okay, so this is line feed, then carriage return, then carriage return line feed. So I just want the line feed. Whenever the integration run and the file is generated, I want the cursor to be present in the last end of file. Okay, end of file. So basically, if this is the file, I just want to place the cursor here. Okay, so you can use the carriage return line feed. Then here you need to configure the columns header and footer. Okay, so first let us discuss the header. Now let's say you don't want default header. So default header means whatever the field name. Okay, this is employee ID. So the default header is column heading override, this one. This is the default header. Okay, if you want this header to be used in the file, you can simply keep at it as it is. If you want some different header, for example, instead of worker, you want to mention worker name. Okay, you want to mention worker name, you want to mention something like that, worker name, then the other field, then pipe, then other field. You can define, like that, like this also. Okay, so in that case, you need to just unselect this, and then whatever header you will define in file, that header will be generated. But if you are selecting include default header, then this header will not be selected. Okay, whatever header is configured in this column, that only will be selected. Okay, in the footer, if you want to write anything, for example, end of file, let's say mention end of file in the footer, and then in column. So there are just three fields in my report. Okay, there are just three fields in my report. All those fields will come here, and you need to configure. So basically, for this worker, if you want that worker field to be in double quotes. Okay, in double quotes, for example, like this one, worker A. So you want the data in this format, A. Okay, I mean there will be double quotes before the text, and there will be double quotes after the text. Then you can just keep prefix character and suffix character. Okay, if you want to define the column width, you can define the column width, and then the column heading override. Okay, if you want to add any padding character, you can add the padding character. Padding character we have discussed in the sequence generator as well. Similar, that is going to work here as well. So now I'm gonna leave this as it is. You can explore multiple options here. If you will be having any question, you can ask. So I'm just clicking on OK. I have configured the document transformation. Now what I'll do is I'll run the integration again. What was integration name? Ganesh. Which one is this one? Now I'm running the integration again, and you will see the difference, how the file is getting transformed. Launch. Okay. I want to use system default only. Click OK. Your integration has been launched. Click on refresh to see where exactly the processing is. It's 80% completed. File has not been generated yet. Click on refresh again. Still, the file has not been generated. Click again, refresh. It's taking more time than the previous integration run. That is because of the transformation. So earlier there was no transformation. Right now there is transformation. That is why this integration is taking more time. Okay, so now here if you see, there is one transformation step as well. Okay, the file has been generated. Let me download that file and let me show you the difference. So it is the same integration. I have generated file in different format. Now if I open that integration file, the file will look like this. See, this is the header. This is the data from the report. Okay, and then if I go in the last, so this is end of file, which I have configured in the footer. So now are you able to visualize when I'm talking about transformation, what exactly that means?
Yes.
So the earlier file is the earlier file was this one, this XML. Okay, this was the earlier, this was the raw data. I have just transformed this data into this data. Which one is more understandable?
Text files.
Text file, right? It's pretty much simple, no tags, nothing. Okay, so this is more understandable. So this is what happens. Let's say, see, integration by default is generating XML file. Some of the systems are understanding those XML files, some systems do not understand. Okay, so when other system is not understanding that XML file, they will ask you to generate file in specific format. Okay, so here I'm just I generated file in txt format, and this is how it looks like. So I have used custom report transformation at this point of time that was configurable, but there is another way of transforming the files, XML file, that is custom transformation using accessibility. Okay, so in that one we are going to write code. Okay, so that is something we are not going to discuss. Maybe tomorrow I'll just complete couple of more security part, then maybe I'll just discuss that transformation part.